I'm curious, have you worked with a number of physician entrepreneurs before, and what's kind of been your overall experience with them?
Physician entrepreneurs are there's two really horrible entrepreneurs to work with: inventors and doctors. Inventors, they don't want to run a business; they just want to invent. Doctors, because they try to do everything. So they've got it all figured out from A to Z, right? And so just because when you're that smart, you kind of try to have your arms around everything. And so as a physician, in my experience, you know, it's what's the best way to put this? There's a lot of guessing involved in being a doctor, but it's all educated guessing, right? And
Sure.
there's not a lot of things that are written in stone. It's very rare that something's absolute, and more often than not, you just do your best with the knowledge available and information available to you. And business is very analogous to that, right? Where you do your best, and people who acquire the most information tend to have an advantage. And so because those things are very comparable and the same in a lot of respects, they think, well, I got all this locked down. I'll have the business side locked down too. And it hasn't always worked that way. Some of them were able to figure it out, but more often than not, doctors are good if we can designate our roles, right? So that's where my investments with doctors have worked. So you handle that side of it, I'll handle this side of it, like I have with Alex, and then it tends to work out.
Interesting. I have a mentor here at Emory that, he is involved in device development. He says doctors make good chief medical officers, but not good CEOs, and for the most part. And it seems to echo kind of what your experience is. I'm curious if there any of the ones that have been successful or successful chief executives, is there anything you notice among them, or is it more they just kind of had a natural ability for it, or
No, it's that they accept what they don't know, because the nature of being a doctor and an entrepreneur to a certain extent is you got to find the answer.
hmm,
You've got to find, and you've got to know when you can be wrong, right? And with a patient, the consequences obviously can be far worse than in a business, but you've got to be confident in conveying that you're confident, right?
right?
And it's not so much a scale issue. In business, scale is an issue. You're not trying to get it's a negative these days. And I've got a best friend who does physician consulting and counseling, and you guys all know the burnout issue.
Sure.
And so, just trying to scale up and add more and more and more patients isn't a positive for physicians, particularly these days. Whereas, that's the nature of a business. And so, the doctors that have done well know what they don't know that there's a lot of the business side that's counter to what they've grown up with, if you will. And it's better to partner with people who can do those things.
Excellent. No, that's great advice. That great advice. And I think the other thing I'll comment on as physicians, we're trained to be very risk averse, which,
Yeah.
as you know all too well, entrepreneurship, you have to take risks. You have
But,
to,
no, but honestly, I'm as risk averse as they come. You know, just like of all the range of options you have when you talk to a patient, you've got to try to apply a probability to the one that you think has the best outcomes, and share the top three and hope you can explain it in a way that allows them to make your patient to make a decision, or so they trust you to make the decision. And business making decisions is very similar. Of all the potential outcomes that your dollars can find, you want to pick the one that has the greatest probability of success. And so I'm very risk averse. I try to always do my homework so the amount of risk that I'm taking is minimal, and I try to play to my strengths. Now, sometimes, like particularly on Shark Tank, I'll wing it because that's a TV show, and and
yeah,
if I'm helping somebody and I'm giving them 75 or $100,000, myself and the team that I have can help them, and it's not maybe the optimal investment, but yeah, in business, I think those people who are the most risk adverse are the most successful. But to other people from the outside looking in, it looks to be risky. It's just you just got to do your homework to get that edge.